Okay, get ready. It's starting.
Oh my God. Okay. Hello everyone! Welcome to this little teaser of my new MI calf. This idea is where we can talk about all things motivational interviewing. MI, one of my passions and the thing I love the most. So first of all, what is motivational interviewing? Generally, it's considered a counseling approach. It's a way of being with people. It's a way of showing respect for a person's autonomy and self-determination. I decide my own life. It's a way of creating a collaboration with others, being a team together with them. MI is also about showing compassion. The MI spirit involves looking into another person's needs and seeing their needs over our own. And the last thing that MI really focuses on is a way of showing empathy, being empathic with those around us. How can I listen in a way that shows I'm really trying to understand another person's perspective? How can I listen to a person and reflect back or mirror back to them what they're thinking or what they're perhaps wanting to say but having difficulty putting things into words? And this way of listening is quite powerful. So that is very short on MI. So my MI calf idea is a little bit like kind of meant for people who are interested in motivational interviewing, people who perhaps have gone to a basic training or intermediate training and haven't followed up with any sort of like coaching, or in Swedish we say handledning, etc. So I want this to be a place where, like an open house, where we can sit and we can drink our tea or coffee together and talk a little MI. So I was thinking, one of the things that is important to think about when it's about MI are three words. The first word is what. What is the other person wanting to change? Or what is the other person wanting to discuss? Or what is the other person wanting to work on or develop in their lives? So that is the first keyword of MI, what. The second keyword is why. Why are we wanting to make the changes? So it's important to figure out, what are my own reasons for wanting this change? What are my own reasons, or why, or how important is this change to me? What sorts of benefits will I get from my life if I do this change? And all of these why questions or why answers, they're called change talk, motivational language that helps you talk yourself into a change. We all know that if someone tells us to do something, we'll probably do it less, unless I go into the mirror and say, yeah, today I'm going to go for a walk, or today I'm going to go to the gym, or today I'm going to eat healthier. We're much more able to do that if we say it ourselves. So why is an important question to answer. The third key word in motivational interviewing you can think of as how. How is this change going to be, how is this change going to happen? What sorts of solutions do I have to meet my goal? Who do I need help with? What sorts of plans can I set into action? What sorts of tiny little baby steps can I take to make this change happen? So what, why, and how. And the difference between motivational interviewing and, let's say, solution-focused theories is the why. We often are very quick to jump from what to how. So motivational interviewing helps us stay within the why. I definitely want to make a change, and I maybe want to exercise more. And then we directly can jump over to the how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get more exercise? Do I go to the gym? What do I do? But then we're missing the why. Why is it important to me? How important is it to me? How important is it compared with the other things in my life that are really extremely important? Maybe I don't have time for the gym, or I don't prioritize it because I prioritize other things. So the why is what motivational interviewing is good for. So this MICAF that I'm thinking of trying to get going, I'm interested with a few questions. Now that you've heard a little what I've thought, what MI is, perhaps what it can be used for, what, why, and how, I'm curious, what drew you here to this particular live streaming on Facebook? My first one, by the way. The second question I have is, let's see, if you were to come to one of these MICAFs and you're perhaps working in a professional environment where you use motivational interviewing already, or if you're wanting to learn more about motivational interviewing, or perhaps maybe even your private relationships, like with your partner or your teens or anything like that, what would you want to get out of it? So when you spend some quality, we all have lots to do, so when you spend a lot of time in certain things, what would be most beneficial to you in your everyday life if you came to this MICAF? And my third question is, what would you want to take away with you? Would you like to have perhaps maybe tips on how you can work with it in your professional life or privately? Because motivational interviewing is for everybody. From the beginning, it was a method or a counseling approach used for addictions in the 80s. However, motivational interviewing has become something where you can use it when you're working with change. You can be a personal trainer, for example, helping people, or a physiotherapist helping people to helping or increase their motivation to exercise more or do their exercises that are prescribed. Motivational interviewing can be used in relationships with children and parents, or it can be used as a leader if you're a manager or a supervisor. Use it with your staff or in groups. You can also use it in group atmosphere. So MI is very broad approach, and it's because it's the spirit of MI is just the way of being with people. Great. Let's see if we have any sort of questions coming up here. Okay, how can I use MI in my general day-to-day? Definitely. I was just speaking with my daughter the other day about a little bit about schoolwork and math. I think any parent would understand what it's like to have to motivate their children to do their homework. So it's definitely something you can use in your family life or private life. Etc. Some other questions that have came here. Is it possible to have a downloadable? Definitely. I can post downloadables, maybe little exercises that you could try in your professional lives or even with family and friends, just to see how effectful an MI conversation can be. So that's definitely something that I can work on. See what else is there. How often will the cafes be? Well, that depends on what you'd like. My plan is to start this fall, perhaps maybe one or two, to see what times work out best for people and how, like if an evening works or a daytime works or if a weekend works. So we're kind of in the process of setting this up. But I'm thinking at least once or twice a term for now. Thanks for that question. Is it always a Facebook Live? It can be. It's my first time on Facebook, so we'll see how I feel about this afterwards. It'll be Facebook Live, or it can be like a Zoom meeting or something like that. So I'm going to see what works best for everyone, what's the easiest for everyone as well. Might be easiest just to take up your telephone and, come on Facebook and listen for a few minutes. And what made me do this? So, I am very passionate about MI, and I'm very passionate about just motivation work in general, about having to, it's not always easy to make changes. If you think about your own changes that you've made probably in your own life, it's tough. And also at the same time, society tells that we're supposed to be changing, we're supposed to be developing, we're supposed to always be reaching for something beyond what we already have. So I definitely think it's important to stop and think about where am I in life and where do I want to go. And that's what MI does. It helps us to pick the goal of where we want to be and then why it's so important for me to be there. And this cafe, I've noticed a lot of times my idea is that we have lots of basic trainings and lots of people who are trained in basic MI, but we all know also, and research supports this, that when you train in something, you have to continue using it over and over again. You have to be exposed to it over and over again to be able to become proficient at it, that it's going to sit in your backbone, that you're going to be able to use it without even thinking about it. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a place that's safe and fun, where we could just talk about how MI could benefit people. Thanks for that question. What else do we have here? Oh, my favorite thing about MI compared to others. I think it's like I was mentioning before, it's about the motivation and the why part for me, because I think if I go to myself, if I know why I want to do something and why it is so important for me to do it, then it's easier for me to do the work to actually get where I want to be. And I think we're always like that anyway, but there's a lot of motivation goes up and down too. And MI is right there to be able to help you increase your motivation when you're feeling a little low. And it's normal to be that way, where motivation goes up and down. So that's why I love it, is we have an approach and a way of being with people to increase motivation. And in turn, kind of increase your own. So, how did I get into MI? Well, that's a funny question. Well, it's not really funny, but I started, my background is in the criminal justice system. I studied psychology and have done a master's in social work. And I was introduced to MI in Sweden, in the prison and probation system, where we actually trained everybody in the whole system. There were guards and psychologists and program leaders and treatment counselors, etc. And we trained everybody in MI. And that's where I started to think that I started to realize that MI can be used anywhere, because nobody really chooses to go to a prison, so it's an environment where there's some external motivation. But along my years, I could see big and small changes of these people that have, started off on the wrong path, and have actually made super changes in their lives. So that's how I came into contact with MI. And I loved it so much and came so passionate about it, so I continued. Let's see, another comment here. I am trained in MI, but feel like I have no one to talk to as everyone expects me to be positive and motivated all the time. Can I come here to talk about those things? Yeah, definitely. One of the things that that's really important about using MI is you have to have a self-acceptance that I am wanting to help other people and I'm working to accept and really try and understand other people. But at the same time, I need to also take care of myself and work through those. So it's sort of like a way of being with other people, but MI can also be a way of being with yourself, accepting yourself, what are your needs, self-compassion, etc. Good question. Let's see. I'm a teacher. Would MI support my career? Yes, definitely. It's one of the things that I actually am also very passionate about is bringing MI into schools. I think there's a lot of schools or maybe school counselors and etc. that understand MI and use it in their conversations. But I also think that MI could be a wonderful way to help teachers help teachers help students structure their schoolwork, help them when they're not able to handle their schoolwork or they're lacking their motivation, and then also be able to set boundaries. This is my role as a teacher. I want to affirm you and validate what you're feeling and doing, and here's where you can go and get some help. So it's got a lot of important aspects in teaching and in schools. Thank you. Let's see. Do you teach MI training? I do. I have my own company and I work as an MI consultant and trainer. Work in both English and Swedish languages. Most of my clients are in the social services system, working with child welfare or social welfare programs, lots of employment insurance employees, treatment, addictions, so all over the place. It's starting to be quite a big need for many people to work with motivation. So I do offer training. I do 3-day basic training and intermediate training and advanced training. I also do coaching if you're interested in that. You can always contact me. Thank you. I really struggled. I would love a person to meet up with that. Yes, I am based in Gothenburg, Sweden. And if anyone is interested in just coming to chat with me about MI or wanting to take like individual courses or something, definitely reach out. My email is jennifer@novovia.se. Definitely interested in talking about that. I also offer individual counseling sessions for people who might want to work on their own motivation for different things. For example, if you want to start working out, or if you want to be more accepting of yourself or others or whatever. So I also do that to try and bring MI into a more private area as well. Yes, it's a really great opportunity for us to get together and chat. Chat with others too that work. My hope is that it'll be a community of us in the cafe, being able to support each other and network, and also kind of learn from each other as well. It's really important. We're not alone out there, we helpers. How can we support each other and help motivate each other as well? Yes, just looked at my website. Thanks. Can you share more about my book? Oh, how wonderful. Yes, I have last year released a book called Lighthouse Conversations, Being a Beacon for Teen. It's also in Swedish, and in Swedish it's called Kraften I snacket. effektfull kommunikation med tonåringar. Och that book for me was a long process. It's also offered in e-course, an online course form as well. But the reason that I wrote that book was because I wanted to make MI more accessible to everyone who wants to better their communication or, talk about hard things in life. Sometimes it's very difficult when you're an aunt or a grandmother or a neighbor to maybe approach teens that you see might be struggling. And my book is meant to help people do that. So my goal is a grandma can step in and talk with a teen, and in this way prevent things from becoming bigger problems. We know in the world today there's a lot of teens that have mental illness and anxiety and depression, and I think we as a community need to step up and help teens of today's world. So that's why I wrote the book, and it can be it's available on my website and in bookstores as well. Thank you. Let's see. Do you do sessions for children and maybe sessions for parents? Maybe. Oh, yes, that's a great idea. As I said before, I do have individual counseling sessions and group sessions with, for example, parents and their teen or children, just to help with a different approach, looking at the motivation side. And that would be interesting, actually, to have a specific MICAF for just parents. Or even caregivers or important adults to children and teens. When I say parent, I think also about, caregivers or treatment parents or foster parents or, anybody that has any sort of responsibility for a child, raising a child and a teen. Because it's a lonely road sometimes. And that's also one of the reasons why an MICAF for parents or caregivers would be a really good idea, actually. We're kind of used to, when children are small, having like play dates and stuff like that, but there's not much out there for teen parents. So maybe we need to have play dates for our teens, and we can, parents can join, talk to each other and support each other, because it's tough years. So great, thank you for that. So a personal session would be good for getting healthier, for example. Oh, definitely. An individual counseling session can be, and you don't have to have like huge problems like to contact me. I'm thinking I see my sessions as a way of like brainstorming together with one, and motivational interviewing isn't a counseling approach that has like a long treatment where you work with your MI practitioner for years on end. It's about this why, what, why, and how. Why is it important to you? And then once you come to that together with an MI practitioner, then you're often quite fast at doing your hows. So great. Is this a subscription? How much is it to join the community? Well, because it's so incredibly important to me to spread MI to as many people as possible in the greater good, I'm going to start with these MICAFs being free, that it's a place for us to grow together, to talk about MI and how it could be beneficial to our lives, and see how that goes. So for now, it's free. Thank you. How many languages do I speak? Yeah, I used to speak French, but Swedish kind of took everything over. So now I am bilingual in Swedish and English. Depends on the time of day. In the evenings, I start to speak a little bit more English than in the mornings when I'm all fresh and ready for Swedish. Good. Yes. How many teenagers do I have? I actually have 2 teenagers, one turning 14 in a few weeks and a 16-year-old. So I'm definitely right smack dab in the middle of these years where there's lots of hormones and there's lots of, identity searching. Who am I and who do I want to be? And really interesting. I'm actually reading a really good book, too, about the teenage brain. And it's very interesting to learn about how, like, the neurological reasons why teens may do the things they do. And I see a lot of connection between that and, having a bigger understanding and then being able to use perhaps MI strategies to talk with the teens about them, to have conversations about difficult things. So that might be something that an MI CAF could be. I will keep that up here. Thank you. Have I always lived in Sweden? No. I moved to Sweden for love in 2000. So I've been here now for 22 years. I've come to that point where I have not two identities, but I have one identity where I've combined the good of Sweden and the good of Canada. I'm from Canada originally. I don't know if I said that. Yes, so love both countries. Thank you. Okay, do you offer counseling for MI trainers, or maybe an opportunity for us to talk through tough cases and experience? Yes, that's one of the things I was thinking would also be kind of like a different leg of the MI CAF. Specifically a place where people who don't have opportunities to MI coaching can just discuss, like, hey, I have this client, he or she is like this, what sorts of MI strategies could I use there? So definitely it would be very interesting too if you could have different dynamics with different people, like if you had a school counselor and or you had somebody who was a social worker. I think it'd be really cool to have that dynamic too, and it would also increase our understanding for each other's professional roles. I think that would be an interesting group as well. So good question. I like that. How much are your sessions? There's more information about that on my website as well, but an individual session is 1,035 crowns. I think you can choose when you book with me via the website. I have some times up, so you can just book and come in and book with me. I also do 15-minute like free discovery sessions as well, to see like if we'd be a match for each other. So that's also something that you can look up on my website. Great. What else? Do I have a podcast? I love how you talk about what you do. Thank you very much. I don't know if it would be called a podcast, but it's a little radio show. I see this, I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun with a little radio show. So I do have that, and it's available on my YouTube channel, which also can be found on my website as well. I'm just in the process of putting that up there. I have 2 episodes out. These have two different legs, or tracks, I guess you could say. One is for more motivational interviewing for professionals to use in their jobs, and then the other one is for motivational interviewing for everybody else who would like to use it in their private lives or in personal relationships as well. So there'll be one MI focused for professionals and then one for personal life. So that was really fun to do. When is the next one? And how will I join next time? The next MI CAF or radio show? Let's see. Well, you could probably follow. I'm thinking if we're talking about the MI CAF here, one of the things you could do is please feel free to follow me. I'm on Facebook, obviously. I'm also on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn. So try and find, I think Instagram is just Jennifer Alice Bloomquist. I also have a specific Instagram for my book, which is Snacka Smart, Talk Smart. So you can follow me, and that's where I'll put up the information as when the next are available. Good. How do you get yourself out of bed in the morning? I need to be more motivated. You know, it's funny because I have a really great lamp. In Sweden, it's very dark, and it gets dark in the mornings and gray. And so I think about the positive things before I go to bed, I think about the positive things I'm going to do in the morning, and then I have this lamp that wakes me up by spreading the light, starts my day off very positively. That's what helps me with my motivation. Sun is important, so it's a fake sun. Thank you. And last question for today, I think. Oh, there's 2 questions here left, and then I think we will, so that everybody can get back to their day and etc. The first question here I have is, how many sessions are recommended for counseling, for example? Again, I think that's something that we would discuss together in perhaps like a discovery session, but I would at least say between maybe 1 to 5 sessions. Just to kind of get to know each other. But each session we go through, like, what would you like to talk about today? What's the goal for your session? And then at the end of the session, we say, have we reached that goal? Do we need to book another time? Or, are you feeling okay and you can continue doing some work, and then you'll contact me again. So it's all done in collaboration. The whole spirit of MI. We do this together. Perfect. Okay. And the last question, a good one. What are 2 tips for great communication with teenagers? Well, my first tip is actually one of the ones that I already gave, and it's the what, why, and the how. To stand up and think about why would a teenager want to do this, and talk with them about that. What is their whys for change? Like, for example, if, a teen would like to, I don't know, say, well, I'm trying to think of something. Well, if they want to stop smoking, for example, if they've tried a couple times and their friends are continuing to get them to try and continue smoking, it's like, well, what would be the reasons for quitting or stopping? Really going into the whys instead of jumping to the how. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's easy to be very solution focused, and it's easy to think, well, that's not so hard, just do this. But we all know at the same time it's pretty hard to make changes. So to have some respect for that. So that's my first tip. And the second tip is talk less than the teen. Nobody wants to listen to somebody who's on talking and talking and talking. Talk less than the teen, listen with curiosity, and you might learn a few things. So thank you everybody for joining me today. It's been a little longer than I thought it would be, so continue having a wonderful day. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye!
And